Hey there, Saints. Pastor Dave here with another weekly devotion for you this Wednesday. Hope you're doing well today. I'm going to start with a quick reading from Sarah Arthur's Coffee with God. And this is a devo about where we notice God. This week, I'm looking around to see where I can see God in the everyday world. Here's what I see. Right in the heart of our campus, there's a gigantic cathedral. Technically, it's called a chapel. It's situated at the top of a hill, so you can see the spire for miles around. And when I say it's in the heart of everything, I mean you have to walk all the way around it to get from one side of campus to the other. Which I find intriguing, actually. Here's this secular university that's just like any other state school you've ever heard of, parties and everything. And yet, at the center of the main quad is a simply enormous structure built to the glory of God. Not only does it command every field of vision with its impressive size, but the sidewalks are constructed in such a way that you have to walk through the cloisters on either side of the sanctuary in order to get to the student center or the biology building or the School of Engineering. So here all of us are in our frayed jeans and flip-flops, yes, even in January, chatting on our cell phones, obsessing about our small lives, and meanwhile, strangely enough, we're walking toward the chapel as if we really mean it. By the trajectory of our progress, you'd think we were headed to worship. We brush past the doors in spite of ourselves, and I can't help wondering, do we sense the presence of God in that moment? Do we hear a whisper, like someone calling our names? Not that God's presence is limited to a church building, obviously. Though the chapel is built in His name and for His glory, does this massive pile of stone and mortar give the student body even an inkling of the height and depth and breadth of God's love for each person here? Or is it up to the individuals like me who say we know Him? Saints, I thought this was a really interesting picture of where God is present in our daily lives, in the everyday. On this college campus where Sarah was, there was a chapel right in the middle of it, a huge, apparently large cathedral-style chapel. And, you know, I went to a secular university as well. We didn't have that. We had a main quad that was full of restaurants and administration buildings. I've been to seminary, of course, that did have a chapel in a kind of a central location. I've seen the gamut in terms of school architecture. In this situation, the chapel is there, I'm sure, because at some point in the school's history, that was a central feature. That was something that the students were expected to engage with. And times change, it no longer is. But the building itself is still there as the reminder. And as the students see it, as they pass it, as they interact with it, just on their way from here to there, maybe it is something that calls their attention to the presence of God. I know that all different kinds of people notice and perceive the presence of God in different kinds of ways. Maybe there is a particular building or architecture style that really makes you just stop and you know, your jaw drops and you say, wow, it's incredible what people were able to do with the God-given imagination and talent that they used to build that. Maybe it's some feature of the natural world. Maybe, you know, you're a mountain climber or hiker, and the vista that you see from the top makes you stop and just give praise to God. Maybe there's a particular piece of music, or even a style, a genre, that really gets your attention and turns your focus toward God. And maybe it's not what you would expect. Maybe it's the classical, you know, Mozart, Beethoven kind of pieces. Maybe it's those composers who wrote for the glory of God intentionally. Or maybe it's a pop song or a show tune or something entirely unexpected that makes you give thanks to God. It's very interesting. We can find God's presence, or we can find hints of God's presence in all different kinds of places. And the one that Sarah brings up right there at the end, I think is the most important one for us to remember. In each and every human being lives the image of God. In each and every human being is the potential for holiness, a reflection of God's goodness. And we maybe don't always see that in one another. Maybe we don't always make our best effort to display that in ourselves. But what if we looked and paid a little bit more attention to the divine imprint, the imago Dei, that exists in each and every person around us? What would we see? How might that help us return our attention, our focus, our hearts to God? Saints, that's your devotion this week. Hope it's helpful and worth thinking about for you. I hope you're doing well and staying healthy, staying warm. I'll be praying for you. Please keep praying for me, and I'll see y'all again soon. Take care.